when a new part arrives and we all race over to R&D and we say, oh yeah, does this fit, does this fit? And the expectation that it's going to fit first up is probably a bit of a folly, but when something really fits, that's great. And that comes back to that, we're driven by the fact that we enjoy what we do and we like playing with cars.
In the early days at Rare Spares, our R&D was really go out into the wreckers. Whether it be rain, hail or shine, we'd be out there getting spare parts off cars to send overseas for samples, and then once we got samples back from our suppliers, we'd go back out into those wrecking yards and test fit the parts.
Now we can do that in our R&D department, and it just gives us the opportunity to go over at any time and fit up a part and make sure that it's 100% correct.
Some things you can sort of wing it and you can say, well, yeah, that bit's missing, but it needs to go around the corner there, or it needs to have a return on it or whatever. But you need good samples.
The thing that gives us the ability to develop product is the quality of car that we actually get out there and source. To do that, we travel wide and far to find unmolested cars, and when you find them, it's pretty exciting to get something back into the place and start looking under the bonnet and on the interior and say, well, what the hell can we make from this car now?
We're now making parts that are far more complex and far larger than anything we could have dreamt of even within the last 10 years. With the HQ to WB ute and panel van quarter panels, that's a huge investment, but they have to be right. To have people who actually know what they're doing, that's critical. That's why we sent the ute quarters up to Gary O'Brien.
Well, I guess as a young bloke, many moons ago, late 70s, where I used to work, we used to make a lot of handmade panels for some old exotic race cars. So I was really lucky enough to work with a lot of old guys with a lot of old skills. Our journey's been over 40 years now, and you know, collectively there's not much we can't do.
We've built a lot of cars, but we're not necessarily expert car restorers, and if we can team up with those in the industry that are experts, that's what helps us get to where we need to be with quality and fit.
When I started to get more involved with cars, I was very mindful of colour match, paint finish, panel gapping. It'd take twice as long to do, but the car was back to how it should be.
We actually bought a ute with new quarter panels on it, original new old stock, and shipped it over to the panel manufacturer. Some people would tear their hair out and say, you know, it's sacrilege, you know, but we have to. The parts need to be right.
People that are into the car world like we are, I don't know whether they all realise how much work and effort goes into producing these things.
The few little issues I have with pre-production tooling is the interpretation, the accuracy of the panel. So what we'll be looking at is just advising them there's a couple of flanges that aren't quite right and there's a couple of body lines that aren't quite right.
We will produce a quality product. We back our product 100%, and before it goes out to the consumer, we know that it's been tested by not just the suppliers, but it's been tested by us.
We're a couple of mil out here. Well, they want it as good as OEM. You know, the Rare standard's fairly high. It's the same as Holden, Ford or Valiant. That's what they strive for. Rare's philosophy is we want it as close as, so that a car club guy who hasn't got those expertise can just bolt that panel on and be as close as it was when it was new.
Their R&D is ongoing. I mean, it just never stops. I see some of the new product and I think, how does this happen? You know, how does someone decide to make a sticker for an air cleaner, for instance, for a Tirana? You know, I mean, why would you do that? But it's their passion.
To replicate a factory part, a factory finish, that is difficult, and Rares have certainly mastered that.